Morning, Mohammed. Good morning. Morning, Pip. Just sending all this stuff out. We very well could be running to the highs from here. All right. Links posted. What I don't like is there's nothing here. So if we're going to V bottom, this is how we're going to do it. You've got pretty decent stuff there. So I actually think that we're going to sweep one more time. You also see the inability to really generate anything in between to break this up. So if this was going to go, we would have really ran. People will look at London highs not being taken yet. Key piece of information. Right? Now this area is going to be highly contested, this 85s. And you see that we've rebounded once, twice, and now possibly even a third time violently off of it. Where is my coffee? Right? So we very well could be waiting for this next 15-minute candle, depending on what goes on here. Not a lot that I like out of any of this consolidation, really. This makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. That didn't fire a new high, which is odd. Right? But not really when we consider that we want to run those highs later on. Right? So I did take one stab at this if it was going to V. And then I actually took it off up here. But this 87 area, and then looking for this. We might even stab down into the midpoint. Do we really have anything? We probably have this structural zone in here. And then we've got 48.75 being the next area where we expect respect and all that fun stuff. Morning, Astrophile. Morning, Zach. Formal good morning to Matt, even though we've just been talking for the last 5 minutes. Hey, Andis. Pip and Muhammad, which I believe I said hello to you already, but nobody was ever hurt from a second hello. Morning, Victor. It's a watching and waiting, watching and waiting. I think we have Wednesday, September 3rd. Yes, that's today. We have Jolts in 15 minutes. Jolts in 15 minutes. So there's your 8 a.m. hourly candle. So here's your Jolts. There's your Jolts. We expect, if we continue lower, and that's an if we don't sweep this out. If the 9 a.m. candle ends up sweeping and closing inside of here, then we're only looking at the upper extension. This is Jolt specific. This isn't gospel to hold off of for every single day. But that is Jolts. Right? So you got 15 minutes. Or a new 15-minute candle, sorry, coming in hot right now. There's your 5. Oh, that's not good. We'll see. We'll see, we'll see, we'll see. Could be some funny business. This is what's known as a truncated wedge in candlestick theory. Right? You would expect a typical wedge pattern to have all lows in a similar trend line. Instead, you've got this, which is obvious, and then this one does not. Now, whether that's... Oh, ES. ES is actually, some nice SMT there. This will be interesting. Yeah, I like that candle a lot, but failing above it, not exactly what I'm interested in. And I don't want to be blown around in the wind here as the higher time frame if it wants to drop into this and then go. Which also aligns with our zone midpoint. It's 48.75. Good morning, Dilip. Right? So, patient. I think, as it looks right here, this looks weak to the point where I think anybody shorting should make money. What I don't like is the SMT on ES. Right? Specifically here on NQ. But that's also the 5-minute. What do we got on the 1? Yeah, ES is actually wild. ES traded like up to here respectively. And then unloaded back down. Oh, that candle at 9:45, 15-minute. Goodbye. Okay. Morning, Doolies. Right, so very, very similar. We are going lower, then we're going higher. Whether that's from here or even a little bit lower, we'll find out. The hourly, the next hour, so the 10 a.m. candle should stab into here. Whether we clean up London lows and Asia lows or not is to be seen. But waiting to see what ends up happening here with Joel. I'm up about $800 from that first trade. That Freedom model trade actually looks like it would have worked out decently, although I don't really like this candle trading up. Right? Yes, you could argue that it did stab into the breaker, which would have been here, but you would have had to really been aggressive on that close, and your stop would have had to been above not only the highs that we expect to be taken, but you're looking at that 9 a.m. manipulation, which then heads lower. Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, isn't it? Is it better to be like, say we're long here, right? And this runs and takes that high, but it fails. Should you have your stop at the low? Is this low something we should be risking off of when we fail here? No. Right? Whether this takes it or not isn't relevant. We want to be trading based off of higher probability. Right? So this didn't do it here, and we could have maybe exited here. This is a gift from that low to that high. That's a gift. The fact that it traded to our hourly area of interest a couple of times, that 8 a.m. hourly low. Right? Like this is now potentially the area of interest, depending on what goes on with this. If we end up closing like above here, then I think we can anticipate that that Jolts is going to open inside of the 8 a.m. hour, which means that this is all manipulation, which means that we are going flying up to 508. In my opinion. Now, I'm not involved. I should have hit that there. That was a beautiful sweep and fail. That's not a new 5-minute candle, but that's a beautiful sweep and fail. Right, and if we get a respect of here, then I'll consider starting in small. Right, there's your 15-minute, which is exactly what we wanted to see. Morning, Matthias. Let's go. I think at least this isn't a protected high, and I do think we at least traded to 424. And this very well could just be a blast. And if you did take that scoop, I would be looking for this high, and we're essentially monitoring how violent this is. Very, very possible that it comes down to here, but we're looking at this being expansionary now. Okay, so I will be down to runners. And again, let's not get caught up in how violent this move is. This is the midpoint of the 8 a.m. Right? We do expect to trade to the other side. Ultimately, we want this as our goal. So if we are long, right, and you're looking for parabolic, you might put your stop underneath here. You're waiting to see what happens with this high. We expect some sell pressure from this midpoint. But you've got a lot of accumulation here. And ultimately, not only, we want two different things. We want this high, the London high, which was not swept yet. You see ES is actually quite beautiful with the liquidity that's been generated as well. I think we take at least the 930 high. And if we decide to leave all these, then I think the second piece of information is we want to determine if we're going to close inside of here or not for jolts. That's the ultimate thing. This, while I love it, is inconsequential compared to closing inside of the 8 a.m. hourly. Inconsequential. And the reason is because we're trying to determine what our higher time frame wants to do. So I'm down to a runner myself. Yeah, this was not ideal. Right? But you have a beautiful outside candle. We then tap into the breaker. Right? So I hit that here. And then my stop was underneath the 4-hour high. Right? We accumulated a lot. We now expanded. Traded back in, barely traded back in, and then you could have actually done like one of those tricky entries that we do where this goes red to green, and then your risk is that candle itself. Okay. A lot of business done here. I don't like how well it respected the midpoint. But we'll find out. Everything's pointing lovely. Everything's pointing lovely. Again, our thing is we're trying to determine based off of price action, will we close inside of this or not? And I think a lot will hinge on this next. So this candle and then the next one. If this candle fails this high and trades back through, then I'm gone. And flat. And flat. I like the bounce. I don't like what ES is doing. Don't like the weakness here generated by this candle. So I'm gone. Woo! That's how you stay out of trouble, lads. Anybody grab anything in here, or are we sitting, watching, and waiting? You got 4 minutes till red folder news, so there's no issues, no issues at all. Okay. Yeah, this is chop. So like, if you're looking at, you kind of got this movement here, so you would expect to return back down to this area. We have not reached anything higher, so the idea is. And I mean, this is all assuming we don't blast lower and clean it up. But if you're looking at your daily chart as well, your next day model would suggest we're taking the low. I think that's a little bit silly, personally. I do like, and we talked yesterday how I wanted this daily to respect this fractal. Right? Because we bounced off. We actually made a violent movement. This is technically your second distribution, but it's now failed underneath this low. Right? At least it hasn't truly failed. We would want a closure above this candle to confirm that. But given the context and where this stabbed into, we then traded back up to the area that sent us down. Sure, violent movement. We could expect that. And then we're looking for underneath this low to start scooping. And people did. So ultimately, I think we're trading higher. We talked about that yesterday. But that doesn't help us for intraday, right? What we're looking at right now, you got 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Right, so assuming we close underneath 99.75 in 35 seconds, this is what you're looking at. I'm not short for it. Not short for it, but I would not be long in here either. Morning, Jace. Good morning, Andrew. Good morning, Niznos. Right, but how about them apples yesterday, where we called the first and the second rally to the tick? Okay, so the hourly did close underneath. This will be interesting. Again, looking at this area here. But if it's not clear, as in we don't have strong direction, then you sit out. Failing above here is not a good sign for bulls. 30 seconds. Oh, don't do me like that. If it runs from here, then I'm not involved, unfortunately. Oh, man. Oh, man. Look at that, 5 minute. You got your engulfing on a 5. Didn't take the low. You got an engulfing on the 1. Did run the low. People are looking at this. You know what? If it goes from here, that'll be annoying, but that'll be annoying for me. Hopefully those of you guys that are involved have a nice, easy roller coaster ride all the way to the highs. I entered that, took most off here though. Way to find a way to get involved, Picks, if something spoke to you, bro. It's awesome. 24 has remained the midpoint, but you could argue, like, this did close above this as well. This internal movement. Failed CSD, in fairness, but I liked this, that it closed underneath, well underneath. Wanted lower, but it wasn't not meant to be, at least so far. And so I'm sitting here watching. My dog has run away twice. Hopefully, I'm drawing a blank on what state you live in. Hopefully it's not one of those states that you can watch it run away for like 3 days. We have a couple provinces like that, where it's literally flat. Not a hill, not a mountain, just flat. Texas. Les and I have been we're actually looking at Texas. Oddly enough. Look at this. Look at this thing. Look at this thing. All the way to the other side of the... We were looking at, and forgive me, as I have no idea about demographics at all with Texas. We were looking at Rockwall. I don't even know if that's a big town or not. Or city or... I guess it's like the Dallas area, isn't it? You go west, you can watch it run away for a week. I was stationed in Grand Forks, North Dakota. So windy we had to unhinge the radar, let the wind blow around it. Really? Well, like gale force winds? Did you guys get like tons of bugs? Or not so much in there? Yeah, bugs are insane in Saskatchewan. I haven't had the opportunity to introduce my lovely wife and little girl to this should at least trade back into here, I think. But this is a higher time frame movement, so not putting my whatever into it. 41 would be the area that we want to have blasted through. Right, so we're kind of looking at trading back down. Ideally, we hold 409. And if it doesn't hold 409s or so, then I think we're trading to the opposite end, which would likely lead to even lower. Right, love this movement, especially for you guys that are still holding. So we'll see. The hard part about considering Texas, or looking at Texas or anything, is that for a Canadian, we're such babies, right? That you're kind of like, excuse me, you're kind of like, we go from a place where we don't even see, like we barely see the police officers. Right, because they're dealing with all the the drug issues and the homelessness and all that sort of stuff, especially in Kelowna. So, for us walking, there goes your London highs. Those of you guys that held, give yourselves a lot of grace and pat yourselves on the back for holding. Whether this was easy to hold or not, that's a beautiful, beautiful move for you guys. That was ultimately the target. We did hit our 4-hour area of interest as well. I didn't take anything in here. I didn't take anything in here. It didn't hit either of my criteria for getting involved. But circling back, like as a Canadian going from, fairyland, so to speak, and then you go to Texas where everybody's packing. Literally everybody is carrying something. You're like, oh, that's a bit different. Morning, Frank. Yeah, and I'm not. I don't want to spark a debate or anything like that, but I'm not anti firearms or anything by any sense of the mean. I think that I think the data is pretty clear. You can't put children in a bubble that doesn't prepare them for anything other than failure. This will be interesting to see what ends up happening with this if it flips. I do think that flat bottom low is definitely a pool of liquidity. And again, that sort of discussion that we had on Friday. Anybody seeing any benefits from the discussion that we had in the Q&A on Friday? Do we feel more calm or at peace this week? Coffee is one of the greatest gifts on this planet. You cannot change my mind. Good. Everything might be calling to a short, and it very well could drop from here, at least to that low. We'll see. But analyzing price, watching it run to areas that were like, I think it's going here. And then your ego is like, yeah, let's go. How do I get involved? How do I make money on this? Right? And your growth as a trader comes in when we're like, it probably will trade down there. But I want my system more than I want to take trades that don't fit it. And down it goes. And now you have to determine, is this flip trading into something and we like it from a systematic trade? Or is it something we should consider taking on the way back up? Right? So it's not, I want to hit this here for that low, whether I have a systematic reason or not, right? And then you might look at, okay, well, this makes sense, doesn't it? Maybe. Again, we're failing at a very interesting reversal point. That 10 a.m. closed underneath. And we're failing above the 8 a.m. In my opinion, in my humble opinion, annoying as it was, trading into that 4 hour, which also coincided with London highs and now failing, we should head to this, which I wanted in the first place to then go higher. Instead, we went higher first, and now we're heading lower. What a prick. So, that said, I would not be long here even if this area decided to move back up. If. This is higher time frame analysis where everything makes sense in hindsight. We have to then be proactive in our trading. Yuck. Yuck, yuck, yuck. People will look at this as an order block that sent us higher. We took London highs. That was it. So far. This is very unclear for me. If I had to take a trade, I'd be looking for a short. But to me, there's not a lot to be done here until I decide where it's going. Again, I'm looking ultimately to target down here in 350 to 339. But the issue is that our hourly's now failed above 8 twice. This was violent, which then failed above this hourly high as well. So you can make arguments for both sides, but I'd be leaning short. This to me was a squeeze. Took it on the chin, took a partial win on the next trade. Okay. right? So again, our discussion, and I'm going to do a study as well. I got a bunch of different stuff to do for you guys today, and then something for ETF as well. So we're looking at areas where price made major decisions from. And usually you should be able to determine on the lower time frames and then on the higher time frames and whatever else, the fractal nature of it. So if we look in here, and you're looking for the major movements in price, and then you're looking for respect on the other way. And that usually leads to larger moves. So if you're looking at the lows here, you don't really see anything where major decisions were made. We're actually missing a candle, aren't we? So what I'm looking at is specifically, let's get rid of that. Like if we get rid of this 8 a.m. hourly, right? Just keep 24 in the back of your mind as that's the midpoint. You're really looking, in all of this, you've got one and then by extension a second piece of major information. And that's this fractal here. Right? Because we expected, and this was a violent candle. Let's see if I can reload that actually. Right? So violent candle into this breaker. We then consolidated and then dropped. That makes this a very important area of interest. And you see the reaction that occurred here. Now we've displaced underneath it. We trade back up into it, potentially. And we're monitoring how this moves to then come back through. All right, for me, 29.50 could be the area where it respects if this candle doesn't close violently, say above this one. Like if this gets wrecked or the immediate response comes in and it closes, say, into here, then fine. Here again, trading into the area of interest that sent us down in the first place. We're monitoring the reaction that occurs. Which very well could be the highs. In which case I didn't take it. Right? We're ping-ponging back and forth. Cool. Right? Traded all the way back down to that 4-hour high. Another strong reaction, but watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting, watching, waiting. And again, we want to make sure these areas actually break. Like it broke delivery. So you have potential energy from here, depending on what goes on, but we essentially want this to have snapped some sort of structural low, even if it's an internal one. This was not. Right? So we would have had to have looked at this low. If this had been a closure underneath and you had internal structure leading up, then you have a break in structure that also has an SNTR. About halfway to my daily target, so still hunting for a second trade. I didn't really like candlestick, yes, absolutely. At least to trade up to here, and then this ends up being a gift, cool. But if I was honest, I was actually hunting for a short if this was able to actually generate something. What on earth? Flipping here would be a concern. Playing with their food, are they? Yikes. Not good enough to go long from here. Mainly because my directional bias is bearish, even though this is a surprise move up. I think that 10 a.m. or that hourly jolts is throwing me off a little bit, but you know, perhaps it shouldn't. It traded, it literally manipulated, went flying. The open was 84. This traded down to 83 and then ran. So they're obviously buying the hourly. I'm just a little bit surprised we didn't trade lower. ES did have an SMT run of the lows. So there's a lot of confluence for you guys as well. Did it? 83 there. MNQ might have gone a couple ticks lower. Were you long from here and that took you out break even? Yeah, not not to throw a wrench in anything, right? We're having a lot of trouble with this hourly high, but we didn't take the hourly low. ES with SMT, they're obviously buying in here. So it could be my own ignorance that that kept me from longing in here and then in that. Right, failing to CSD, even if I wanted to short from this area. This failed to make any structural break. And not only that, but even if you're looking at this violent movement, we still have a failure to flip. Ooh, please don't go crazy and make me miss everything. Don't do it. Well, I do it for everybody that's involved. I'm not at my daily goal yet. Where am I at? What am I at here? 1100. Look at this. Look at this. Good morning, Tigo. How you doing, Russ? Good to see you, man. Pray for me. It's leg day at the gym. I have a habit of going to the point where I have a hard time walking. Old soccer habits. Football for you Europeans. Finally into our area of interest again. New 15-minute coming in 3 minutes. This is danger territory. This is your 4-hour area of interest. But I think you would need to see a little bit more than what we're getting so far. But we'll see. Credit to you, bro. Credit to you, bro. Right? As long as you're not trading the last couple of days with the framing of how Monday worked out. Right? The goal is, you know what? If I trade XYZ, if I trade my system, if I trade the way that I study and backtest and etc., 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 then over the month, this is what my results will be. Which takes away looking at the 1 minute time frame, similar to us looking at the 1 minute chart in retrospect to what the 15-minute wants to do, what the higher time frames want to do, right? If we're seeing failure above, right, your 5-minute CSD is this high. We failed above it once. Currently, we failed above it twice. Now, if this flips again, we're in trouble, right? So we'll see what goes on. This could be a firefly, maybe. We're trying to determine what's going on with these hourly highs, right? Now, my point is that we want to take our individual days, pat ourselves in the back, let's go. But more importantly, we want to be able to trade and disassociate from, you know what, maybe I went long here and made money. That doesn't necessarily mean that I'm longing pretty much any movement and expecting to make money from it. More importantly, maybe we short here and we end up taking out break even. That doesn't mean we avoid a systematic short if it comes. Now, this personally didn't fit any of my criteria, and we didn't get anything in here, right? But let's say hypothetically that we shorted, we got break even, and we got another systematic trade here that ended up flying down, right? Or something like this. You've now got a fair value gap. If we're sweeping and failing, your ES has flipped. This is a concern when you put it in tandem with what the higher time frame wants to do. This is looking sus. So I would want a closure underneath this. There it goes. You might get a stab back up into here, and then I would risk accordingly. Your stop has to be a little bit higher. I had legs this morning, could barely walk to the car. Yep. I have legs tomorrow. Yep. $10.30, new 15-minute candle. That's violent. And you are looking for violence. Markets have no memory. That's what I had in mind. Help the noodle. Yep. Yet another flip after taking that 15-minute low. This area has to respect, in my opinion, your little your gap here. I'm not short yet. I was monitoring what happened with this candle stab up. I wanted either a sweep of this candle and then weakness, and then I would have hit that. I do like the short. I don't like the flip after taking a 15-minute low. Good. Wow. That's a beautiful scalp. That's like a 25 point scalp right there. Beautiful in and out. Beautiful in and out. We'll watch and wait. We want to see this fail. Now, this very well could close inside of this one. So it's not necessarily this closing above that gives me like a major CSD because it's unclear with the wick. What we're ultimately trying to determine is that we're closing underneath like these hourly highs. And I'm hung up on these lower extensions, but forest for the trees. Yeah, 15-minute lows are usually like, we want to see just a blast, right? Which would have looked something like this trading up to this area and then gone. And it would have been just gone. Right? In which case, there's no sense being early and hitting it here, because if we're right, this low goes, that low goes, and then this one. And we drop into here. And you're looking at a 100-point trade in probably 10 minutes. 5 to 10 minutes. Right? So we're inside of this 4-hour area of interest. What do we got for... You got this gap, which we already kind of filled. We've already taken the morning or the overnight. Well, no, the overnight high of yesterday is actually 509s. Right, so we very well could stab up, take that, and then close inside of here, which is fair. Which is fair. Right, but I can't go long inside of a 4-hour zone. Lot of waiting for me today. A lot of waiting for me today. Might be a slow grind up to yesterday's high. Yeah, could be. Could be. I thought we would have a lot more from London. And I just didn't like how that closed. There, sorry. Small red currently, yep. These days for sure. I think the main takeaway is that this is obviously a key reversal point. If we were going to drop, then we look at sort of like an SNDR created, and then we look at that for continuation. Yeah, not a lot. Not a lot that I like out of this. Love this. Love the idea of taking this low. Sure. But now the midpoint of the 4 hours. Great PA for longs. Yeah, pretty much any sort of weakness on short, long, long, long. I mean, that probably would have gotten me taken out if that would have happened. Right, but if your direction was bullish, especially off this 4 hour, like, right, so you got your 4 hour, right, spike, sideways, spike, sideways, spike, then you're laughing today for sure. You're laughing today for sure. I've only taken long trades. I haven't taken any shorts. Would have liked that 930-10 range of lows been taken, trapped into area, and then a run of those highs. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I thought Jolts was going to run. I would have been 100% long from that area that we wanted. I don't think it was that low. I think it was like more in here. And that would have ran. So, plan my trades, and wasn't meant to be. Had 360 as an area. Yep. Fully on board. Fully on board for that. Pretty much anything around this 350 area or a little bit lower, I would have been very, very interested in. So we'll have to review some of this with Dennis. I think I'm in a long from a 2-minute CSD. Okay. This didn't even tap down to the breaker. This was just gone, which tells you it's a higher time frame movement. This was just sweeping a 15-minute low and blast. And like I said, I can't go long inside of here. I think that we wait to see where this finishes up, whether we take yesterday's high or not. And then you look for a decent area of interest. I'm going to mark up that high anyways. And this is a very interesting candle. And I think the midpoint of that is pretty much where this 4 hour zone is anyway. Yeah, I thought if I'm replaying and I was here and you were like, where is it heading? I'm saying at least this 10 a.m. low, at least, and then we're probably taking this and beyond. Gun to my head, and I had to be in a trade. Would I be long or short? I'd be shorting the hell out of this candle for these targets. Right? And ends up just getting into this mitigation area and then blast. Right? Those of you guys that love your SBS and whatnot, I think that you get your 1, your 2, 3, the 4 liquidates this, and then your 5 ends up trading into this area of interest and then blasts, right? So like this ended up working out beautifully, but was not interesting. I think in retrospect, longing here, that's probably not what I want to see for continuation, and this should at least trade up to this. And then if we get a violent movement, then you're flat, obviously. We obviously didn't get that. It tried flipping here, which sent us higher. Right? Then got your highs. Okay, that makes sense to me. We took the 15-minute low, and then we flipped immediately. So in reality, closure here, aggressive trading could take at least into the midpoint of our 4 hour zone. But that's if we're trading perfectly. And I need to make an algorithm for myself. So if you guys know anybody to code, so I'm not sitting here on my hands and cheering after the fact, right? I still got one more trade in me, but again, I have no desire to hop into longs here, and this is definitely not shortable. All right, Frank. Nice work. Yeah, I think so. I think hindsight's 2020, obviously, but given the disrespect of these areas of interest, you would suggest that it's now a higher time frame movement, right? And you would probably suggest that after London highs couldn't break. Not only that, but our hourly closed underneath and the market just did not care. Which means to me that either the 4-hour or higher is in control, which means that we're trading to a 4-hour or higher point of interest. Right? Multi-time frame analysis, cool. So to the daily we go. Whether it bounces off of here and gets everybody that's been longing all in here to run the high. Yeah, I'm up $1,100 or something like that. Somewhere close. But that was longs in here. I took this one off, and I took something in here initially for the rip, but stayed away from all of this, unfortunately. Yeah, yesterday was intense. Right? And my takeaway from yesterday wasn't calling tops and bottoms, right? The sweep of this inside of our hourly area of interest, and then the 270 that capped the action there. It was staying strong through this entire movement because there was no trades. This is very, very hard for the majority of people. Very, very hard because everybody saw this. So pretty much anything like this, it was long, right? That's where it gets tough. And then finally you get a flip and look where it goes. There goes the highs, yeah. To the surprise of absolutely nobody after the flip here. And I probably should have just hit that and been done. As if this wasn't conducive to higher time frame PA. And this very well could have just dropped sideways, spike sideways, spike sideways, spike sideways. It could have done something different. Instead, we just had this victory march of bullish candles. So congrats to you guys that held for the daily target. And now we determine what we want to do. I see Top Step came out. They've got back to funded stuff. $500 to get immediately back. Have I ever used the ADR? Yes, I did. Yep, I've used average true range, average daily range. I've used a lot of different macros. I've used a lot of different. Man, I've traded based off of different MACDs using eigenvalue and intense computations. I've taken all kinds of stuff. It's all interesting, I think the problem with indicators from a fundamental standpoint for the majority of traders is that they rely on them as gospel rather than as a confluence to what the market's actually doing. Right? For example, people will say, well, you know, anytime the 9 and the 20 cross, right? that I'm long. Using a very, very simple example. Now obviously there's stochastics and everything else, or you know, if VIX is this, then I'm doing that, or whatever else. Maybe there's one of the stronger traders that I've met over my career bases their NQ trades off of VIX, right? Where they're actually using it in hindsight of what VIX is doing, right? I've never met anybody else that does that because so much goes into VIX. Now, I think that statistical analysis is huge and probably more important than indicators. You don't really need, and I don't have indicators really on my chart, other than ones that really complement. For example, sessions, areas, right? That's a very, very easy, quick and easy way of determining we failed this area, we CSD, we should be trading here. And we do. And then I got stats on my side. Right? That's the whole point of indicators for me. Similar to trend lines, similar to boxes. Right? But people that look and they've got, you know, a very, very strong concept of market analysis and direction, and then they've got indicators, like say you got a 9 EMA that does this, and they're expecting here. Well, what do you think they're doing? They're buying the 9. They're buying the 9 because they're using it in confluence with their bias until proven otherwise. And that makes sense to me. Taking these highs to the left. Yeah, so we took lunch highs. We could actually trade all the way up if this doesn't stop, which it doesn't look like it wants to just yet. I think the confidence in this movement to continue higher to 550 would be based off what the intermediate time frame wants to do. If it tries to fail and it can't, then people are like, okay, let's go. Let's go. What's the point of interest for your approach? Swing points, fair value gap. The very, very rare time that I use fair value gaps is for an entry idea. As in, I want say I considered this short that Zach grabbed, that I'd be looking for respect to this fair value gap to then trade to the 15-minute low, or the CSD low even, that sort of thing. Now, I think that the biggest benefit of gaps, like people will look at stuff like this. We've taken London highs. Well, guess what? There's your inversion. Shouldn't we be hitting this with a stop above here and we're targeting like a 2-to-1 or something? And then you get your face melted off. So I have a really hard time just shorting closures based off of gaps. I personally haven't found any success doing that. That doesn't mean other people haven't. Right? I like them as areas of interest, similar, and I look at them not as gaps, but as low volume nodes. Right? If this trades up, respects, and then goes, then I can understand that entirely. That makes sense to me. Right? And this may very well be like a very, very poor explanation. I think that, if we're measuring different things, then you've got these gaps, these ones that are responsible for major price movement, right? Now all of a sudden this makes sense. Now all of a sudden that makes sense. Yeah, exactly, right? So when we shift from, you know what, my entire strategy is based off of where these are trading to, etc., For example, if you're like, oh, there's an inversion here, so I want to be long from it. Okay, that makes sense if this trades back into it. And away you go. And you could argue that it did that here. But we're more concerned with directional bias and then using it for that. So I enter based off of market generated information with the candlestick highs and lows. Right? For example, 15-minute low. This, if it didn't achieve an objective, and this obviously looks foolish in hindsight, but I'm looking at these 15-minute lows, I'm looking at the sweep, the flip, and then some sort of trade to come out of that. Predicated upon the 15-minute low being taken and directional bias being higher. This flip makes no sense if I'm not expecting higher. Otherwise, we're just trading back into this area after flipping, and then we're expecting lower. Yeah. Yeah, honestly, not a lot that I like out of this day, this entire movement. You know, your hourly, not a lot that I like out of that either. And then your 4 hour just, well, 4 hour speaks for itself. Yeah. Happy to be green, but I'm not really looking at anything crazy. I do think we still have a little bit higher still, even with this drop. Right, I would probably be looking at, if I take an aggressive long, it would be 87s, depending on if we get synchronicity, and this kind of gives us like a bit of an order block. Does that make sense? Right, people will be looking at this being lethargic after the daily high. I do think we trade back down, but in no rush to take anything. Done for today. Nice work, bro. How are you feeling? How's things been going for you recently? It's good to see you in here. I don't really get the chance to meet and chat with you guys the last couple of weeks. The individual stuff. Okay, with consistency or with what? This was a bit nasty. I like this area a lot. I think that lines up with a 15-minute and 5-minute area of interest. And so I might stab into this and into there, and then respect. Hey Dennis, how you doing, man? Did you trade a lot last night? With psychology over trading and quick impulses. Okay. Asia looked very, very weak. London looked lovely. Over trading and quick impulses. Okay. As in... Define a quick impulse for me. I did better than yesterday. Okay. Did this take a 5-minute low? No, we haven't taken anything yet. Okay. Okay. Yeah, I don't really like this. We'll see what this this candle ends up bringing. I'd love a sweep and fail here, or something, and then I would be targeting the 5-minute lows. Could be trading in front of a steamroller potentially, but we'll see. Open of this candle is 11.25 if we get a sweep. We obviously want to see this this continue. 2, 1, okay. And we get what's our reaction? Yes, absolutely. Looking at the below 90 in like the mid 80s, mid to high 80s for a long to then ride up to it. We've actually got 10 seconds to turn of the hour here, so I'm not giving this a lot of room to trade up if this short wants to work out for those 5-minute lows. You have the new turn of the hour at about 3 seconds here. Yeah, 380, 386. 386. Looking for these lows. My stop will be above this high now. What do you think? Okay. Gotta get through this. Gotta get at least under 550. Not really wanting 10 points out of this. Right? I'm break even now. And then, and then probably, yeah, I think it's actually probably this one, isn't it? Are you for real? 98.25 to equal lows, nothing taken. In reality, I suppose I did take that one, but that's not really what I'm looking for. Oh. Don't do it. 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 Go, 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 go. What's our 5 look like? Yuck. Ooh, also yuck. I do think we need a bearish 15-minute candle coming in here, though. Nothing doing. 5-minute equal lows after sweeping a 1. This will be break even or 20 points. Break even or 20 points. Let's go. And then looking to ride it to new highs. Morning, member. How you doing, buddy? That very nearly got my break even there. That was actually kind of fortunate that my entry was a little bit higher, but oh well, spoke too soon. Here it comes for it. There I go. You schmuck. Oh, don't do me. Don't do me dirty. This is just going sideways afterwards. Almost as if we're inside of a range, eh, Dennis? Is it? I should look at this a little bit more. Yeah, that does look a lot cleaner, eh? Look at that. Yeah. No, this still looks. Well, we fail one end, then we fail the other end. But I think if you're long, you're probably sitting pretty, but I wouldn't I want lower. Let's put it that way. I want lower. There's your 2. 2's not bad either, in fairness. Right, but the 1 is gross. Here, let's look at it on the 2. Where am I trading from? What do you mean where? As in, where in the world is bull? Yeah, we'll have to chat about this because this is like your bread and butter, and I got a lot of work to do with it. All right, so this is probably in your area of interest to then come back down into it, which would be the termination of this from here. I'm in Kelowna, British Columbia, Canada. Look at this. Yeah. Yeah, first area of interest, but this looks very, very clean. I think like Dennis is mentioning, we probably actually head a little bit lower. 90.75 didn't quite hit the 86s that I wanted, but I think this is going to actually unload a little bit more. Congrats on your big day, bro. That's awesome. Yeah. So coming back into it, and then you're probably heading lower. Fair. I don't like this at all. But that didn't go as low as I wanted it. That didn't go as low as I wanted it. So we'll see. Hey, Turtle. Yeah, sitting well. I haven't actually taken a trade. Well, that's not true. I took a short in here, but that went break even. So I haven't actually done anything since this consolidation. Yeah, 5 and 15. I don't like this at all. I want to get long, but I don't think that's gone low enough. 90.75s. Yeah. The problem, like, I was drawing based off the 1. And if I draw based off of 44 versus 54, then if I draw based off of 44, then we're already we've already hit and we're already back in. In which case we'll probably go to the other side, which means the highs, and then boom. And that kind of coincides as well with our 5 minute. Right, as this did close above, which is important because this is failing to make a valid high. Right, so if we were like, okay, like this area, right, we've now hit, and then away we go. Versus if this is the area that we're looking at, and then and now we're just going to unload. So I guess the question is, do we retrace back down to here or not? And I think if we're going to retest back down to there, this 1 minute flip has got to lead to a 5 minute valid high. And it hasn't. So this to me a little bit unclear. I do like a little bit lower. This is obviously this is violent. So hopefully if you guys are in a short that this area would be your target, but I think we've got to make a 5 minute valid high. Right? And this traded back into that area that Dennis was talking about, right? So this sort of area of consolidation. Respecting the other side of it, good. And now unloading for you. Unclear, but if you guys are still in shorts, then that makes sense. And now we'll see what happens with 86 or so. And I do like 87, 86. This still has not hit it. Right? But we're also having a lot of difficulty with this 5 minute low at 96. So watching, waiting. I'm actually probably gonna go get some breakfast. I think that if this I'm not liking the PA today, how lethargic a lot of the movements are, or violent, right? This is probably a missed trade from me after that flip there. So I think that ideally area of interest would be back down here and then higher. I like this area here in the mid 80s. Now the function of that should have been to trade back up. We've already done that. So it's a little less attractive now, but it still could be terminus underneath this low at 86.75. But yeah. Not really liking this at all. This seems a little ominous. You've got major SMT here on ES. That 1106 actually ran the high here, whereas this just faltered miserably. So we could be looking at an intermediate time frame movement down to where, yeah, I'm actually doing the same, Zach. I've forced a short in here, even though I think it's fair and it's working out. But when I start having low conviction in my trade ideas, that's time for me to go. It's time for me to go, right? So 86.75, we took chop down to that low. This is the area that I want for longs, but if this area fails, then you've got lower here in the 70s, right? I think we talked about that before, but gonna log off here and yeah, We'll see what goes on now. Bye bye bye.